Welcome to the Teacher Pep Rally. If you missed our last episode, we had a conversation with Heidi von Marbod about supporting our special education students in transitions. Please go back and check it out. And while you're there, leave us a review. We value you in these conversations. This episode is a review of the year and what a year it has been. So let's talk about life and learning. Woo! All right. So, Tisha, let's talk about our happy happenings.
Yes, guys, let's do that. So as you know, we've started our happy happenings. Let's go around and see what good stuff has happened since we last met. So, Fred, what you got for us?
Well, so here we are. When we're doing this recording, we are in the final exam week, which is always a joy. So here we are. And tomorrow is May the 4th for those who are listening and Star Wars fans. May the 4th be with you. But also it's final exam week, and I had a chance to do something different in terms of assessing and giving a final exam. And I had a chance to actually go one-on-one with each student. There we go. Nice. There's a little stormtrooper action going on. Nice. For those who are watching the video, you can see the stormtrooper. It was really neat. So the process was I would bring them in one at a time, 20 minutes of each, ask them code questions, demonstrate something, and we would talk. But our talk actually kind of extended a little bit further. And what I was really happy to encounter were I have two young women in this class. And I'm embarrassed to say out of the 100 or so people we have in our program, I can count on one hand how many females there are.
Wow.
And I say that because it's like that. It's interesting because we have to have more diversity in that aspect. And the one woman that I interviewed, the one young lady that I spoke with was happy. She felt it was and it was a good challenge to have. And she was trying to set a positive, she was trying to be a positive role model. And she wants to also take the opportunity to go out to high schools and talk to, other students to kind of get them to understand what's available to them. And and that really made me think about, like you could look at this situation and really feel out of place not part of the community, because she did refer to the guys being guys and kind of geeky and not very easy to get along. They're very introverted. And I said, well, you could have left the program, I guess. But she came in from pre-med and she felt like she didn't belong there. She felt like she belonged here. And that was the one good thing. But I was really proud of her to hear that she wanted to take a bigger role in being a role model. Because I think that's really a brave thing for her to do, because like I said, she's very few. And that is something I'm hoping that anybody that's listening to this, my happy happenings, I'm hoping that you do make sure that you are inspiring everybody to explore everything, and I don't know why we're seeing such a low number in this field. It is an issue. There's no doubt about it. So it'll be neat to see her join the ranks, and I'm going to ask her if she'll go with me to visit the schools when we go back in the fall. So it'll be fun. I hope.
Cool.
So
well, Fred, thank you for sharing. I feel like there's an episode or two that we could really talk about. I think that'd be excellent for us to really take a deep dive into that, because it's, I think we'll find so many things contribute to that. But as tradition here at TPR, we like to offer solutions and bring leading voices to kind of help us navigate these things. So I definitely appreciate your happy happening, and that it's also giving us some more conversations in that direction.
And I guess to wrap that up, that happened, that conversation was because of trying new things too, in terms of assessing. I haven't done a practical exam in probably about 12 years. And I brought it back only because I wanted to have better knowledge and interaction like that. And well, what a gem. So I'm happy that I did it, and I'm going to do my best to do it next year in this class. So we'll see.
Awesome. And thank you for taking that risk and bringing that back, right?
What a gem,
Cool
Fred.
beans. Yeah. Cool beans. And what you got for us this week?
Yeah, so I love that, Fred, so much. And Letitia, my great minds think, I was like, that could be,
Absolutely.
I am excited. This is something that's been 3 years in the making. I think I've shared it on here before, maybe not, but about 3 years ago, there was an opportunity for me to enter some writings in based on some case studies and things that I've done in the classroom, my English language arts classroom, and possibly be part of a very large book that would have 80 contributors from educators all around the world. And I got picked. At some points, I didn't think it was going to happen. The person that has led this, the main author, is Verna Rossi, and she lives overseas. And so I'm very excited to say that you can pre-order the book now. It's officially happened. It is with some legit publishers. It's on Amazon. It's called Inclusive Learning Design in Higher Education.
Ooh.
I think it's priced reasonably, especially if you do the paperback or Kindle version. My section is some of the content you can use for that. So I talk a lot about my personalized learning lessons that I've done. A lot of mine is around writing and speaking standard, but she has a website, and I'll get you guys that. But there's going to be a website. So all the contributors, we've created videos. You can reach out to any one of us if you want to learn more about what we have been doing to make sure that there's this kind of inclusive learning designing in the classroom. If you want to try to do it. So I'm just super excited, mostly because I'm getting to work with teachers around the world. I mean, from Ireland and China and Israel and like Africa, all over the place. It's just so cool. I'm very excited, but today officially you can start pre-ordering the book. So it's official.
That
done.
is awesome. Erin.
That is fantastic.
That's
Yeah.
Verna Rossi, is it?
Yep, Verna Rossi.
That's
She's
very good.
amazing.
I love that. I love that. And yet again, another example of just watching you evolve, and to be honest, in light of Mental Health Awareness Month, not only have you taken such great, professional risks this year, accomplishing some great stuff, you also understood the importance of your mental health and self-care and all of that. So, I just want to highlight how, these amazing things that you've done, Erin, this year, and, of course, things that you've not mentioned. I've loved and been inspired to see you balance it out that way. So kudos to you. Good job. Good job.
Thanks.
So my happy happening is that Sunday I got a message, and I know we've shared happy happenings regarding our current and former students, but I got a text message from a former student who's probably now in her early 20s. And she has made the decision to be baptized and become part of her church community. And she invited me to the event.
Oh,
and I was just so touched by that. And teachers are not supposed to have favorites, but if we're honest, we do, or at least kids that really stick with you. And so I'm so excited that this month I get to celebrate with her and her family, during this special time. So that is my happy happening.
cool.
Pete,
That's
what
awesome.
you got for us? Yes, thank you, Fred.
Students have favorites, and that's why she reached out to you. So you gotta.
Thank you, Pete.
That's the important. So, I was thinking I've got a May the 4th Star Wars concert tomorrow. I was thinking I could share that. We got a Beauty and the Beast summer camp. We're renting out a high school theater for the first time. I was thinking about that. There it is. Aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper? But I was thinking, no, I'll share some. The last time I took a personal day was when I saw Fred and Erin at a conference 2 years ago. I just don't take off. I'm not good at it. And we had an opportunity to go to a wedding in New York, and we went away for 4 days. And we were able to see my wife's side of the family where the wedding was. And then we were able to see my side of the family. And it was just so wonderful. It was a rain cloud the size of Texas decided to just sit over New Jersey and New York for 3 days, non-stop sheets of rain. Yes. And we didn't let it damper us. Haha. We didn't let it, we just didn't, we just, the three of us had such a great time. Lots of Italian food, lots of music, lots of family, lots of seafood. And it was just so good and recharging. And it felt good that I remembered to do, where the subways were and the PATH train. It felt good that I remembered everything because it's really been a long time. Yeah. So just that was it. Just family time and reconnecting, going home for a little while. That was really, really nice. So that's what I have to share.
I love it. I love it. Well, you know, my heart is full that you took the time off,
I'm not
right?
good
I
with
love
that.
it. I love it. Well, we're going to work on that, right? We're going to work on that. We have an awesome show tonight. You know, guys, we've had such amazing, amazing guests, and they just seem to get better and better with every episode. But I don't know about you all. I also love when we get together and just chat and kind of debrief and share our heart. And it's just us. So I'm looking forward to tonight's episode. Erin, you want to take us away?
Sure. And I completely agree with you. I feel like it's been a while since it's just been the four of us in the room. So it's nice to just pal around with you all. And and we mentioned before we hit the recording, we were going to lean in and be honest. So a couple of us are a little under the weather. It's that time of year. Watching the YouTube video, you might see, I know me in particular, going on mute as I have a cough attack, but all is well. I'm fine. I went to the doctor. I'm on medicine. I'll be all right. It's just that time of year and we're just going to push through. So happy that you all are here. I just hope, Pete, for your sake, because you edit our audio, that I don't cough like crazy.
We'll just say Darth Vader.
Yeah, that's perfect.
I have more of a wheeze than you right now, so we're good.
Well, full disclosure, I took 2 puffs of the inhaler before I got on. All right, let's highlights of the year.
Yes.
I couldn't believe it when we have done so much this year for the Teachers Pep Rally and had, like Letitia said, really great people as we continue to do every season on the Pep Rally. But before we get into some of the episodes and talk about the guests, are there some highlights, whether it's something one of us has done or seen each other do, or just something different from this year that we want to share? Let's do it. Let's give people a good review.
So I'll jump in. You said it first. So I'm looking at the calendar. I believe the last time we were all together like this was for the holiday Christmas special.
Yes.
So I had to bring out.
Oh God. Oh boy.
So
please
if you're watching on the video.
Please watch the video, guys.
This was my saving grace this past winter. This was the massager from my Secret Santa. We'll call Letitia. And it was a lot of fun. That was a fun episode. They're always fun. If you're listening but you want a deeper, richer experience, watch the video. Because then you get to see everything, and it's a lot of.
My family looks forward to that every year now. They get the biggest kick out of watching the four of us doing the Secret Santa gifts. They just love it.
It's fun. Those are always fun. It's a fun way to get together and just kind of, embrace the season and like you said, because it's a chance to take some time together. Yeah.
and speaking of which, Fred, I wasn't even thinking of our exchange, but I've also noticed that as the years have gone by and we've spent so much time together, like they're getting like we've zeroed in like very personal, like we know exactly the book, the gift, the t-shirt, the whatever we're gifting. It's gotten real like very specific. Like we know each other. I think the gifts represent. So I think that is so super, super cool to me.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Pete?
I was gonna go into the season, and I was thinking about I love how I just feel like it was a much broader pep rally. It was just a bigger reach. The guests were just so much more varied and so much far out, and so many different locations and backgrounds. And I think we had some very daring guests, and every single one is really just doing such good in their community. And they were inspiring to us. They were inspiring to me. I'm going to go to our friend David Lewig with Juilliard.
Mm-hmm.
I got emotional during that episode because it is a struggle sometimes for an elementary school teacher to get the respect rightfully deserved from a middle school teacher or a high school teacher. And it always drives me crazy how we see the same people in our professional development, and we all have the same problems. Everybody's bitching and moaning and groaning, and nothing ever is getting done. But if there could be a vertical, I want to meet with my feeder schools, and I want to meet with the university in my area, not because he even said it. He said, Pete, you're the start of this journey.
Yes.
And then I'm further down, not the end, because there is no end. And it was so cool that someone that established, and guys, you need to look him up. The guy's doing amazing music. I mean, it's crazy what he's doing in a good way. Just so impressive. Beautiful, beautiful creating music. For somebody to say that, somebody as established as him, and say, hey, I would love to just sit and talk with you. And actually, when I was up there in New York, I was actually thinking, dude, I might just reach out to the guy and try to get a sandwich with him at the deli. But it was just raining too much. You know,
isn't that a song, Blame It on the Rain?
Blame It on the Rain.
Yes,
that was something. And I think each of us had a guess, maybe, that we had that connection, that oh my gosh, that was so cool. And just there was really cool connections and validations and aha moments this season with a broader net.
Yeah, I agree with you, Pete, 100%. And I love that to a certain level you felt validated and seen and heard when he said that, right? Because it's absolutely true. You are the foundation, and elementary school teachers are the foundation, which kind of makes me think of something that I don't know if you guys were expecting this when we decided to get together to do TPR. I have been so blown away by the guests that have complimented our chemistry or thanked us for the great work or have been inspired. Like, I don't know about you, I just really wasn't thinking that. I was thinking, I love you guys, let's do this, let's encourage folks. But then to have other people, like other than our family and friends listening, right? To have other folks, say, I sent that episode to someone, in another country, or this, or just the investment that they've made and validating that, this is not easy work, right? Like, we love it. We're passionate. I mean, we're on here sick, right? And pumping inhalers, but we're so committed. So that's really warmed my heart this year more than ever, just how people have really noticed our hard work and have been impressed with our work.
Yeah, Letitia, I really like what you said and how you said that, because one of the things I had a note for was how many times. So if you're listening to this podcast for the first time, or if you're been with us all season, you may wonder what goes on behind the scenes with a podcast, right? Maybe that's a whole other episode we share.
Yes, sir.
We share like how, because
fire.
Right? Because Aaron's like the glue of getting all the stuff organized. Everyone brings so much to the table. But how many times have you known we have our call schedule, a tired day, you're like, oh, you gotta get in the right mindset, even for the happy happenings, to reflect on that, right? And pull that in. And then you get on the call, we have this amazing conversation. And then I don't know how it is for you, but I'll walk away like going, I'm really glad I did that tonight.
Right.
And I think one of the cool things about that is so that everyone who listens to us, that in itself is a really important message to get into your communities, to go have conversations. No matter how much you don't want to, make that effort, because you might find on the other end of that is going to be something wonderful. And I think that's really one of the cool things that maybe that's what people recognize in a way, that energy that we keep. We're like the Rocky Balboa of the teacher podcasting world right now. We'll go round after round after round, but at the end we come out of it, and it's it's a really great experience. And I loved that this year. I think it's been another great season, looking at all the guests on our lists here, and they're so gracious with their time. So it's been fun. Yeah.
And very authentic people.
Oh,
and the other thing that, as you were talking, Fred, I was not expecting either the friendships that I've established with some of our guests, the learning and the growth that I've experienced. And to your point, Fred, you're right. Sometimes we're dragging, right? And I feel like the nights where I'm the most tired and I walk away energized and like, that was awesome. And I'm still processing the next day. So I think this is a beautiful
Yes,
platform for us to be replenished and also give back to our listening community. So that's awesome.
we always want to be authentic. We always
Yeah.
want to be authentic. It's called the Teacher Pep Rally. If we're dragging through it, our listeners are going to feel it. And I think our listeners feel that this is us. We're transparent and this is it. And that it is a charge for us too. These episodes have made me want to be, I hope I am really, but a better educator.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mhm.
each episode, I feel
Yes.
like I've learned something else and it's bettered me as a person in one way or another. And I hope that's the same for our listeners.
Yeah, I definitely feel like it's inspiring. I feel the same way. Everything you all are saying. There have definitely been times where I've come on and I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to muster up the conversation for 45 minutes to an hour. As excited as I am about the guest or the conversation, I'm just so tired. And within 2 minutes of it, I'm all in. And Letitia, sometimes I'll get off. And by the time I, download the episode and do everything and send the email so we all have it, and it's time to go to bed, then I'm just in bed, just rethinking about what we talked about and excited
Mhm.
about it, or it gives me an idea, or it makes me think, oh, I need to reach out to this person. So it's really exciting. And I hope that others feel the same way. So that kind of leads nicely into my next question, which is, what are some conversations that are still spinning in your head that we've had this year? So season 5 and 6 this year.
I think I need to jump in, guys. I am still spinning off of our episode, Making Space, to talk about teacher burnout with
yes.
Dr. Kevin Lightman. That was season 6.
83.
His, yes, 83, episode 83. I encourage everyone to really go back, especially as we're wrapping up this year, right? And we need this summer to reset and kind of be recharged. But what has me still spinning or at least chewing on that conversation is his definition of burnout. When passionate commitment is met with unmet needs. Yes, Erin is showing her notes, all the visuals tonight, right? It never dawned on me that's what was causing my burnout in the classroom, right? Or even now as a therapist and a business owner. But I love this idea. I was beating myself up for so long. Like, what is this burnout? And when he said that, it just made sense to me. When your passionate commitment is met with unmet needs, that's when the burnout sets in. So I'm still marinating on Lightman's definition. And I believe one of our guests not too long ago said she also shared that with her team. So
Brantley Turner, wasn't it?
yes,
Brantley?
yes.
Yeah, it was episode 88.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that was awesome.
Yep. Good one. I pulled the same thing. I was like, that to me is still in my mind. And I think and he's doing so much work on it. And I think there's continues to be space for conversations around that for sure. I kind of made a quick note of the one we did with Jeff Dixon when he called this work the glorious grind.
Yes.
There's just something about that I just think is just so real, right?
Yes.
It's not completely positive, but at the same time, if you're in this space, if you're in education, you get it, right? I think it's what we just talked about.
Yes,
when we get on here sometimes and we're just so tired, it's that glorious grind, right? It's that glorious grind. That was episode 84 that we talked about that.
Yep.
And that reminds me too, Aaron, like we've had so many great, I don't know, hashtaggers or t-shirt ideas. And I think we need to go back. First, we should ask everyone, all of our listeners, we should ask, is there a certain phrase that you would love to see on a t-shirt? Let us know. But also like we should go back through and figure out how do we make that happen this summer? Because that's a great quote for a t-shirt.
That would be a great challenge. That
Yes.
would be a great challenge for our listeners as we prepare for a new season, right? To share and post with us their favorite quote from an episode.
I'd like to make a note of that.
Thought that stands out. Yes, the glorious grind.
We're in it.
Pete, what was yours? What was your favorite? Or not? So I shouldn't say favorite, right? What was one that sticks with you? They all do in a way, right? It's like picking your favorite kid type thing. It's,
Right.
you can't-
Yeah,
It gets
I'm
harder
looking through
every
our list.
year, every season it gets harder, I tell you.
I'm looking through our list, and you guys already hit a bunch, and I mentioned our friend at Juilliard. I also loved the calming voice of reason
Mm,
that Kristen Rosenberg had, our school library wizard.
yes.
How she so brilliantly handled some of those tough questions we asked her, and the sensitivity that she has. And gosh, I just anybody that has her in a school library, you guys are so lucky, because she really very, very special person. And we had her back on the show as a co-host even.
But she had energy though, right? Too. That was the other thing. She was just like, it was like
she had such a disarming warmth
yeah.
that you could get any jerk on here, and they could be totally against us on something, and we could still agree to disagree. But I think she would diffuse any tension in a room immediately with her warmth and her energy. And I just love people like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was, she was really cool. I enjoyed I love all of them. But that
I'm
was
with
one
you.
that I had a star next to it.
I'm with you, Pete. I had her on my list too. I have reading and relationships down because I just remember just how she beautifully articulated really what the media center, AKA library, really is, right? The idea of her establishing relationships, knowing what her kids' likes, dislikes are, reading young adult books herself and then making recommendations. I mean, she was so into it, so invested, even her 5-year-old, right? Like it was just a part of everything in her. And I don't know, maybe my ADHD is kicking in, but you notice that guests that were not traditionally or didn't traditionally start out as educators, there just seems to be a different spark, not a better spark, not that those of us that went the traditional route don't have a spark, right? But it's just, I've noticed a pattern with folks that come from other industries. I don't know if other industries, corporate America or whatever, or higher ed even, prepares you for this grind, but they just seem to spark and shine in a different kind of way. Go ahead, honey.
Or they enter with a different appreciation for being an
It's almost like the disposition is different, right? Like it's, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I'm very curious about that.
Is it holistic?
I've noticed.
Is it a holistic approach? So you hear that in medicine now. You hear the traditional doctor candidate, student, whatever, is coming not so much from a science background. They're coming from an arts background. Maybe do you think it's something similar to that? They're coming in, like you said, I repeat, I think you just said it, like they're coming in with a different angle.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's, and I didn't mean to have us go down a rabbit hole here, but I don't know if it's that the jadedness or the awareness that you get going through a program, you kind of don't have that if you went to business school. And Erin, you're like a career changer, right? Like you don't have that layer of it, right? Now, I'm not saying it's not shocking, because I've heard people that come from corporate America, for example, will come in and are like, where are the processes? Where's the, like they can't, it's a shock in that way, but there's just something about, I don't know. I really, guys, I'm just going to have to say right now, I'm not clear that it's even one thing, but I've just noticed there's just a different kind of energy, passion, and like I said, spark and shine for those that came from a different profession prior to, or didn't go the traditional route, should I say.
Agree.
Yeah.
Boy, that's another topic. Put it on the list. I think that's something
we are on a roll here.
Yeah, that's like worthy of
7,
exploring. Like, yeah.
And I'm going to bring up Heidi. I'm gonna do a softball. Heidi from our last episode. I totally, it sparks me, it ignites me inside when I see people just doing amazing things with their creativity. That's been my word ever since our first episode. And I just loved all the different things she was doing for her kids, the transition programs, the classroom situations, traditional and non. I just brilliant people. And that was episode 88. Give it a listen. See if you can hear her dog snoring. I left one in. I left one really
You
good
left one
snore.
good Z.
Oh, I
One.
love
I
it.
just said I can't take that out. It is so funny. It was one of those snores where I think it woke the dog woke itself up. You know?
Been there, done that.
Yep.
So give that one a listen too.
That's a good one, Pete. And I had been talking to her leading up to that because I really wanted to make sure that I had some research and things for us before she came on, so we really understood what her job entailed. And in talking to her, I got inspired to kind of, I work now in an administrative building, and we've had since August these great kids, same type of program she does, that come once a week to our building to learn some of those soft skills, some of those transitioning skills. And, I always try to say hi and say thank you and interact a little bit. And I went to their teacher about 2 months ago and said, I know you've asked if we ever have anything for them to work on, like filing or putting things in an envelope. But, traditionally now offices, everything's primarily digital. So we don't have a lot of that kind of stuff for them to do. So I said, I've been thinking about it. And I said, they have on the door, they use like a little conference room they use every week. And it says the name of they call it Life Class, and it's an acronym. And so they have just a sign that someone just typed out, it's black and white, and stuck it on the door to let people know on that day it's their room. And I said, what if I met with them once a week until the end of the semester and talked about signs and communication and marketing? So I've started doing that with them and meeting with them, and I just having the best time. They're going to get to design their own sign. So next week they're going to do a scavenger hunt because we've talked about signs, and I had like PowerPoint presentation I did. It was like a McDonald's sign, of course, Disney World sign, and signs you see, like for a coffee pot, if it's caution hot, and so we talked about signs, and they're so smart. So they're going to do a scavenger hunt next week around our building looking for signs. I'm very excited because we have one of those, when it's a wet floor, they've mopped the floor and they have the sign to, to be careful that it's wet. Well, have you seen the ones that look like bananas?
Yep.
So we have with the banana one that tells people, slippery when wet, caution. So I'm so excited because that one's in the scavenger hunt, the banana.
So I had no idea they existed because I thought they were made for Universal at Super Mario Land. but because that's where they use them, that's where I saw it first.
Yeah.
But you have it in your building.
We have it in our building.
That's so cool.
Wait,
because the old joke of the banana peel that you.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited. Anyways, I want to let you all know that she is talking to her leading up. She, got me excited, and I reached out, and I have an extra gift now of these kids in my life, and it's just very, very cool. Speaking of the spark, Letitia, that you said that some of these guests just like have some kind of little extra. I'm going to keep going back to our lunch lady, our favorite lunch lady.
You got it. There you go.
Wendy. And I don't know if you saw me, I was kind of looking down at something. I was like, let's see what she's posted recently. I mean, the stuff she posts is just so hilarious. And Pete, I'm sure if you did this every day, it would be just as hilarious, right? So this is one of her latest ones. First grader. Do you know what is a bee's favorite spice? Me. Nope. Student. Wasabi.
I love it.
Kindergartner. There's a green lid in the garbage, but I can't reach it. Me. Is it your lid? Student. No, but it could be important. Me. Like buried treasure? Me reaching in and pulling out a green Ziploc bag with half a sandwich in it. Student. Worst treasure ever.
Awesome.
I know. She's the best.
Yeah. I'm so glad you brought her up because I was thinking about her a lot, and what I liked that she brought to the table. Now I wasn't on the call with Curtis Jenkins, and I was so disappointed not to be. That was the day the water came through our ceiling in our house. But what I loved about those two in particular was the fact of that they remind us how everybody has a role to play in the school system, and that regardless whether you're at the front of the classroom or you're cleaning the halls, or you're an administrator, we're all, it's a great ecosystem. And,
Yep.
And having had children go through that, K through 12 system and then going into higher ed, I think about it a lot and how much of a role, because we always hear that one phrase. You ever hear anybody say, like, when you go and you're going your career and you spend 8 to 10 hours a day in your career at your job, and it's a major portion of your life, and how you got to really be thinking about what you want your career to be and all that. And if you think about it, also that applies to a child, right? Going through school, they're in the school with a teacher for a considerable amount of time, and that's such an incredible opportunity for teachers to shape, but not only the teachers, but everybody in that system. So I think I thought a lot of, I think about that a lot, especially post-COVID. We thought about that a lot during COVID, right? Because, hearing about schools making assignments ready for pickup and delivering remote learning devices and going on that path. And you realize schools are at the center of our communities, and we have to take good care of them, and she was just great. She was just a great reminder, yeah, fun reminder.
Right. Which is our bus driver too, right? Didn't we have
Curtis Jenkins? Yeah.
The bus driver, and I think you mentioned something, Fred, that made me think about COVID and talking with students, like once we started to integrate back, I think in the beginning, they were all like, yeah, digital, we're home. But I think that wore off pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
They started to realize that they missed everyone from the bus driver to the principal, even, right? Like their friends and
yeah.
Like we don't realize really how important that connectivity is and those relationships are, right? So that's why everyone is so important, and I'm hoping that that's a big takeaway in our new normal.
And even at that point, here we are coming up. Well, it's May, right? So we'll have elections in certain areas, and we have school boards being elected and put into place. And you really start to realize, like, that whole system from the board down, right? It's so important, but I don't know if it's still really recognized how important even that setup is, the school board. It plays a significant role in our communities, and we should be taking better stock in it.
And I would say, if you have not gone to a board meeting, go or watch them online.
Yes. Erin, thank you so much for mentioning that. And you too, Fred. I remember when I was recruiting, and I would speak to, of course, I'm trying to bring them into districts, but I always felt like I was recruiting for the profession and not just for the district. And that would be one of my biggest tips. You need to make sure that your values align with where you're working. So watch board meetings, learn who's leading the district. That is so important, because I think in this wanting to get in the profession, that's all that matters, getting a contract and landing a job. And I was trying to instill some more intentionality about, hey, at the end of the day, you have power, because we need you more than and now more than ever. But yeah, that was my big one. Watch board meetings, know who the leadership is before you sign a contract.
Yeah, even check out if you're going to work at the local one of the schools, check that website out. Really look at what's being said. Look at the pictures, what seems to be highlighted. And I say that because I've had some close friends and some other people reaching out to me this year. This is the first time I've really had it happen this much, where I've had people reach out to me and ask to talk to their kids who are first year teachers. And every time, Letitia, it was because it's not them. They're just not in the right school for them.
Oh, no. Yeah.
And unfortunately, some of them, like, I've had to talk them down from quitting the profession entirely. This is they've gone to school, they've done all the tests, and they were passionate. And within barely a school year, they're thinking, maybe this isn't for me. And I'm sitting there telling them, don't quit yet. Maybe look around and see if it just may be that you're not in the right place.
Absolutely. And that matters so much, and again, I think this could be an episode.
Yeah.
Think about teachers that are new, 1 to 2 years, right? They student taught in a virtual setting. They didn't get the one-on-one that I got, going in to the building, interacting that way, having access to other teachers, or, even going to the teacher's lounge, right? So I've had to have conversations with people recently, like, hey, you know, to your point, Aaron, talking to parents who are very impatient with their first year teacher, right? They're like, oh, last year my kid had a veteran, and now that's apples and oranges.
Hmm.
Their experience in training is very different than someone who went to school 10 years ago.
Yeah. And I would argue there's pros and cons for either one.
Absolutely.
Not to
Another show idea.
There you
Yeah,
Yes,
well,
indeed.
not to kind of just take this any further, but I'm just kind of curious too. Are you all seeing anybody doing any research, any studies, any surveys in that COVID era effect, whether on the students or on the teachers?
Oh, yes.
Good.
Especially K through 12, there's a lot of federal money that was given.
Right.
We're getting close to the end of that 3-year period. So there are, I mean, just Google it. There's so many papers and research that's being done, and things that have to be reported at this point because of the federal money that was put towards that. So yeah, it's really all over the place. And I'll tell you too, you know, and this is really, I didn't mean, this is a perfect segue in a minute. We're going to talk about our happy happenings, but you know, our mental health is just so important. Letitia's been screaming it from the rooftops since we've started this in 2020. I am seeing more people now in schools, especially our school leaders, that are having mental breakdowns. And I know it's from COVID, Fred. I know it's from all that.
Yeah.
And we're getting to a place now for whatever reason where it's all just coming out and they don't know what to do with it.
Yeah. Thank you, Aaron, for validating that, because I'll just be perfectly candid. It drove me nuts then, and it drives me nuts now. You know, it's very difficult when you see the wreck coming and nobody listens, right? And sometimes I get super frustrated, and I'll even challenge it a little bit more. I think COVID has become the catalyst that has uncovered what's already been there that we've been ignoring. And then COVID hits, and then you can't, it's like a pressure cooker. Now you can't even put the lid back on. So I agree. And, you know, I'm starting to see, and I've shared this, an increase, and I'm actually in therapy, and I'm actually targeting teachers, like literally targeting teachers, and have had referrals from teachers that are seeking therapy. So I want to encourage teachers to do that.
I'm sorry, no, I didn't. You got me really excited about what you just said there, Letitia, and that is the fact, like what I just said before, the system, right? If one of the cogs is broken, the machine's going to break down, right? And that cog, I don't mean to belittle any teacher, but that teacher's broken, right? And they're not getting the help, that's going to only reflect. In other, you know, you're right. Letitia, I'm so happy you're in that space. I just hope you make sure you take care of yourself, because that's a tough space to be.
Which I'm glad you mentioned that, because that segues me to saying that, you know, when I went to central office, I didn't even as a classroom teacher, did not realize that the district, through the employee assistance program, we get free therapy. People don't know that, right? Like you can get your own private, but I think teachers should take advantage of that. And I have taken advantage where I am now. And I've gotten 12 free sessions. I'm not through them all, but it's free of charge through my employer at Georgia Hope. So, you know, let's leverage all of the resources and do better at marketing and communicating that. Putting it in the teacher's lounge that no one goes to is not enough.
Right. And I would say that even though it's a little thing, you know, that was something at the beginning of this year, you said, let's model something, even just a little thing that people can do when they meet with their admin team, their departments, their colleagues, even for students to do, right? Is the happy happening. So I wanted to make sure we mentioned that, because that was something that we did this year, if this is a year in review. And I'm curious if there's anything that any one of you would like to give advice about when doing this, or encouragement, anything like that? If someone hasn't tried it yet, has been apprehensive, what would you say?
So important to be aware.
Mhm.
So important to be aware. I'm relentless on myself. I am in that hamster wheel. And I won't lie. Wednesday was coming and I said, I can't let down the team. I need to think of something. And it caused me to slow down during the week. And then it eventually became not let down the team, but I need to do this for myself. It evolved. And said, now I'm going to be more intentional and more mindful of the good things going on. I think I'm a pretty positive person, but it was very beneficial to pause. And when you're doing those deep breaths, to also be aware of, hey, this doesn't suck too bad. And this is a good thing that just happened. And we're going to take this, and wow, that didn't have to happen that way. That's a beautiful thing how that just worked out. I'm going to take that, eat that up inside, and that's going to booster my shield for the next big thing down the road. So, and it brought me joy sharing it with you guys. So I wanted to thank you for that.
Oh, thank you, Pete.
Yeah.
You are a positive guy, by the way.
Yeah.
You're full.
So I immediately think of Tim Begonia and Angie Robinson, right? At the beginning of the year. So they brought so much great focus on this topic. And you know what I would share with anybody that's wanting to begin this practice is, don't be afraid of it being repetitive. So you could have the same thing that you find happiness in. You don't always have to say, oh, it's Monday, I have to have a different one than Tuesday, then Wednesday and Thursday. I mean, it can be something where you're just saying thank you, just thank, whether you thank a God or you thank the universe, whatever you do, being grateful and just the sun for the day, the view of the window, your child's laughter, and any of those things. I think it has the potential to maybe be overthought. Letitia, would you agree with that? I mean, sometimes you could think that some people would think that it's got to be this momentous thing and it's going to win somebody an award or something, but it doesn't have to be. It's
right. Something small. And I love that you mentioned that, Fred, because I ironically just finished reading Toxic Positivity by Whitney Goodman, which I think is an excellent read. I highly recommend it because, like Pete, I am a positive person. This book gave me permission to acknowledge that I'm a positive person, but that also some challenging things do happen, and I have a right to express that too, right? Like, me being a positive person doesn't mean that I negate the fact that perhaps I lost my job and I'm pissed, right? Or that it's end of the year and I have all this stuff to do. Like, those two truths can live in the same space. And I will say that in her book, she talks about gratitude and being a little bit careful about it, because gratitude can also sometimes be a result of resources, right? Like, if I'm not worrying about where my next meal is coming from, then the possibility of being grateful kind of widens, right? But if I'm grinding, a single mom with 4 kids, it becomes a little harder. And I think, us practicing this was very important. So Aaron, thank you so much for giving the green light and seeing value. But for me personally, being self-aware, as Pete said, and intentional about picking up on some good things, big or small, right, Fred? I found that it kind of filled my tank so that when the challenging things did come, I was a little bit more agile, if you will, in being able to deal with it. Right. So it kind of pays off. And so it made me feel good that, hey, I am a positive person. I do live a life of gratitude. But some janky things happen. And I have a right to be mad and angry and depressed and anxious, like honor those feelings. But because I filled my tank with my happy happenings, I kind of felt like it was like a healing salve. It just kind of gave me the extra push to get through the tough times. So that's my takeaway.
Completely agree with that. That was beautiful. Thanks for saying that again like that. That's nice. I hope that sits in somebody's brain a little bit and marinates, but just do it. Be thankful. And don't be janky.
It was it was hard to not just pick when we got together every week to say this was my my happy happenings.
Mhm.
Because it is. I like
Mhm.
I like, I like it when we all get together, and I think this was a good year in review. We could probably talk for a couple more hours. This is our 87th episode, so
Oh my gosh.
we're getting close. The next one will be, we always take our summer off. So the next one we record will be our getting ready for summer break. So I'm going to challenge all of you to come in your summer attire.
Ooh.
Fred,
Mhm.
tops
Yes.
are not
I'm sorry, I was
optional.
reading something. Yes, I'm going to wear my flip flops and my janky top.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. And I hope
Fred likes that word.
I hope everyone
Pete's
feels
good.
better. If you're not feeling better, I hope you get the rest you need. And I'm going to go pick out my shirt for the May the 4th be with you for tomorrow. And that's it. What a great
love
year
it.
it's been.
It has. Thank you, listeners. We love you here at TPR.
Yep,
There,
keep
I'm
following us. Where can
gonna
they
go.
follow us, Pete?
Say again.
Where
I
can
didn't
they
hear
fo-
you.
Where can they follow us?
Oh gosh, we've only done that a billion times. Hey, we're on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and our website is teacherpeprally.com. Please leave us a review wherever you're listening to us. And let's help more people meet us, hear about us, contact us, connect with us next year. Next season.
let's be careful out there, everyone.
Yeah.
Yes.